This is the introduction to chapter 23, the war against yourself. We're going to read just a few of those lines. Okay, so here we go. It starts off like this. Do you not see the opposite of frailty and weakness is sinlessness? Innocence is strength, and nothing else is strong. I'm going to read that again. Do you not see the opposite of frailty and weakness is sinlessness? Innocence is strength, and nothing else is strong. Let's stop here a second. Innocence is strength, and nothing else is strong. So why are we being taught innocence is strength? What does that mean? Because you know that the illusion of the world is going to continue to tell you that your innocence is what? Weakness. Innocence is weakness. I use this example all the time, is that people use the term Pollyanna as a derogatory statement towards somebody. You're a doormat. You're a Pollyanna. Your head's in the clouds. Stop being a daydreamer. All of those things. Now, in the world, it's going to tell you that being innocent is the worst thing you can do. Well, this is what the world is based on. So the world is based on you have to gain more knowledge. You have to get more things. You have to really, it's really, as you grow and as you move into the world, you are taught to create an armor around yourself, and not just physical armor, a mental armor, a psychic armor, a psychological armor, all of this stuff, because the bottom line is that the world is going to teach you that the world is a scary place, that it is a horrible place, and that you have to make sure that you are strong so you can fight all the demons in the world, right? That is the complete opposite of what Jesus is teaching us in the Course in Miracles. He says right here, innocence is strength, and nothing else is strong. Nothing else is strong. That's a big statement. If we're caught up in the world, we're caught up in, I have to defend, and then I have to attack, then I have to defend, then I have to attack, then I have to defend, and I have to attack. You do not believe innocence is strength. I was thinking about this. I'm gonna do a TikTok, or I'm gonna do something about this anyway, because it's really important. I have a tattoo on my hand that says trust. Now, trust is huge on your spiritual awakening path. There's no doubt about it. First of all, there's no innocence without trust, right? My other thought about trust, I'm going off on a tangent here for a second. My other thought about trust is that trust is a huge thing. This is what I help people I work with to develop their trust, to develop more trust. Just like I was saying before, that I am the king of attracting free shit. So I've developed this trust that the world is going to bring me these amazing surprises, and I don't have to have monetary means for it. And it's worked for me for many years, right? But the other part is that it's the character of you, which we're going to talk about on Friday. The character of you is trying to trust, and the character of you is built in the world. Let me say that again. The character of you is trying to trust, and the character of you is built in the world, and the character that's built in the world is not a trustful character. That's why he says innocence is strength, because what he's leading to here, what he's pointing to, remember, this is all pointers towards truth. It's all pointers towards something that you might resonate or might not with. Pointers towards, wait a second, hold on here. The more that I'm trying to trust, the more I'm trusting in something that can't be trusted, because it's beyond all that. It's beyond all that. This section is called the war against yourself, right? So immediately he starts off with this idea that your innocence is strength and nothing else is strong. Take a deep breath. All right, I'm going to read another section from this first paragraph. Here we go. No one is strong who has an enemy, and no one can attack unless he thinks he has. Belief in enemies is therefore the belief in weakness, and what is weak is not the will of God. I'm going to read that again. Just sit back and listen. No one is strong who believes he has an enemy, and no one can attack unless he thinks he has. Belief in enemies is therefore the belief in weakness, and what is weak is not the will of God. No one is strong who has an enemy, and no one can attack unless he thinks he has. This is what, as you look into the world, this is what wars are based on. This is what wars are based on. And now let me say this. When you look into the world, I'm talking about, seeing what's happening in your family, in countries, in wars itself, but also your character, as I said before, is part of the world. Your character is part of the world. So let's take this one step more personally. The character is at war with itself because the character, you might be going through this, is deciding, I'm not good enough. I need to be better. Something's wrong with me. I have to change. And if I don't change, people aren't going to love me. And I have to That is a enemy of yourself. This section is called the war the war against yourself. So the egoic mind, which is not real, is fighting itself. It believes you are an enemy. Everyone here has had the experience of, I'm not good enough. Something's wrong with me. I need to change. I need to be thinner. I need to be richer at some point. Maybe not in this moment and maybe not now. And that's okay. But this elucidates the point of the idea that no one is strong who has an enemy and no one can attack unless he thinks he has. So it's kind of like when people say, the devil, that doesn't matter because the devil's all in your mind. Well, the devil in your mind is the worst place it can be because it's inside. Do you get that? Because it's you fighting against yourself, your sinful nature, right? Your sinful nature needs to be changed. You have to get better. Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. What the Course in Miracles is trying to point you towards is the resonance or the realization that nothing is wrong with you. But there's a lot, wrong with the separated self. Belief in enemies is therefore a belief in weakness. And what is weak is not the will of God. What is weak is not the will of God. That's a very interesting statement. Let's look at it metaphysically. What is weak is not the will of God. The reason why that statement is, this is my interpretation and my experience. The will of God is life itself. Life itself is not weak. Life itself is the pulse of everything that is all that is. So the will of God really means that life is not weak. Like life is dynamic. Life is shifting and life is changing and life is growing and life is expanding. It is not weak at all. Life is not weak at all. It is incredibly strong, if anything. It's not weak or strong, whatever. But not the will of God means that, of course, there's no weakness in God. I often say this to my students. Listen, try using the word life instead of God and see what happens. Just try using the word life in replacement of the word God for a while and see what your experience is. Just check it out. So it's not the will of life. Weakness is not the will of life. Life is, like I said, dynamic. It is flowing. It is shifting. It is expanding. It is changing. That's what you and I cannot be separate from, even though we think we are. Take a deep breath. Carol says, I can get it that love is not for sissies. Well, let's change the word sissies, which I actually dearly love that word. I was called it many times. Let's change the word for fearful. Love is not for the fearful. Love is not for the fearful. That's for sure. I love that though. Anyway. What else is coming up for anybody? Hello, Cecilia. Sue says, life and God equal the same. Are we saying that our daily activity as a separated self or character is life too? It's the perception. The perception that you're separate is keeping the ego intact. But it's still going on no matter what. It's still going on no matter what. Life is going on no matter what. When the body is gone, life is going on. Right? Innocence has not been tainted by the world yet. Very good, Kyrie. I was saying the book was really amazing. The book and the film of Pollyanna, this is what it's about. There's a character who is completely innocent, right? So she's totally innocent. And she sees these people. She comes into this community and there's all these people that are angry. And they're mean and they're angry and they don't have time for her, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't see that. She only sees the truth in them. And guess what happens? The whole town changes. The mean old lady becomes sweet. The person that doesn't have time for her suddenly has time for her, right? That's innocence because she sees the truth of them, not the character. I mean, we're going a little bit deeper than Pollyanna, but the whole idea is that the innocence is the strength. So a whole town changes because this one little girl has a perception that is different than the world's perception. That's how powerful it is to understand how much you can empower others by really letting go of your idea of an enemy, right? Two wrongs never make a right. An enemy fighting against enemy, it never works. It never works, and it never will. Never will. That is the world fighting against itself. The world fighting against itself. You see it all the time. And when you start to get this stuff, you're going to be like, shit, it's everywhere. It's within me. It's within the politics. It's within my neighbors. It's not the only thing that's going on, but you will definitely see it. And you'll go, starting to get the game that's going on here. Get it? Okay. Kyrie, deep. Yeah. Well, it's actually super obvious. It's deep to the separated self. It's deep to the ego because it doesn't want you to really start to peer into what we're talking about here. It wants you to suffer. Wants you to feel like shit. Wants you to feel bad. Or wants you to think, I have work to do. I got work to do. I got work to do. Work to do. That's what it wants. The truth is you have no work to do. You're already there. Everything's fine. If you just begin to trust. All right?